Our new parts have completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend. We had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for the weekend has failed. Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
Position, front of the pack, and we're in front of Hamilton, Leclerc and Piastri. The fastest lap at this point in time is a 1 minute 32.2. We don't have the data for that, I'm afraid. So, just ahead of us in this session at the moment are Sainz, Alonso and Leclerc. And just behind us are Piastri, Perez and Norris. Currently the fastest lap is a 1:32.4. We don't currently have the data for that request. that's P1. And we're in front of Hamilton, Leclerc and Piastri. The fastest lap at this point in time is a 1 minute 31.5. Sorry, we can't provide you with that information right now.
Tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who'll be fronting the grid. Russell, Daniel and Fernando Alonso. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. Here's the track, and it's all changed for 2023, with 4 corners removed between turns 16 and 19. It means the lap length is now just over 3 miles, and that might come as a welcome relief to the drivers, and more especially their brakes. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and Daniel completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Sainz, Verstappen, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Perez, Gasly, Albon, Bottas, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Magnussen, Joe, Sargent, Hulkenberg, and Esteban Ocon lines up at the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And with me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Daniel. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Okay, so everything looks good on the power unit cycles, so let's concentrate on bringing tyres and brakes up to temperature. Start was okay, now stay alert for threats around you. Okay mate, we might need to look at a new race strategy after that. I've got some options for you, so go and check your MFD. Okay, right rear tyre's gone. You've shredded the tyre. Okay.
great race it's been then. Another classic Singapore Grand Prix. And they've held on to take the checkered flag here today. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
It's time to present the top drivers with their trophies for today's Grand Prix. And there are a lot of people in the paddock very happy with this result. It's Aston Martin on the top step. Let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. This result then narrows the gap between our championship leader and the rest of the standings. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Fernando Alonso, wherever he is, whatever team he's in, when is he not just brilliant? He'll give you a performance every time, just like he's done today.
Let's move on to the constructors. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Thanks for stepping in and helping handle that. Okay, we've had the new parts come through the fabrication process. We'll have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
Okay, so as for the cars around us, just ahead are Alonso, and just behind us are Piastri, Hamilton and Perez. The fastest lap at this point in time is a 1:30.2. Sorry, we can't provide you with that information right now. Top 5 cars as things stand: Sainz, Hamilton, Piastri, Verstappen and Russell. The fastest lap at this point in time is a 1:29.3. We don't currently have the data for that request.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Issa Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today at the Japanese Grand Prix? 18 corners make up a lap of the incredible figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit, with 10 to the right and 8 to the left, for a distance of 3.6 miles. Average lap speeds around here are fairly quick. If it stays dry, then expect somewhere in the region of 136 miles per hour. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Verstappen, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Albon, Gasly, Ricciardo, Joe, Stroll, Daniel, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Sargent, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant.
Okay, this is our engine supplier's home Grand Prix, which means there's a lot of very important people here behind the scenes. I'd love to give them a strong result to watch today, plus a good result might make my post-race meetings a little bit easier. Launch lap is good, but we need to learn the gears, so go into each one when you can. We're going to need some work on the brakes, so put some energy into them and warm the tyres as well, please. Let's focus now for the rest of the race. caution. Okay, clear. Dirty air of the car in front, let's get past them. DRS is being enabled this lap. You can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone. Good job, nice overtake. Okay, go, go, go! That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting. Look after these tyres now, you want to finish the race on this compound. Battery charge is high, let's use that overtake button a bit more. Daniel's in the pits. Our gap to the car in front is 9.9 seconds. control behind. Our gap behind is 8.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 11 laps old now. We think they've got one more stop. The car behind has minor front wing damage. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 37.1. Okay, the gap behind is 9.9 seconds. Is in the pits. You've got 11th, that's 11th place. That's Joe just ahead. Push for that position. Okay, gap ahead is 10.3 seconds. They're on old mediums. Gasly behind. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, so gap to the leader is 31.7 seconds. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 16.7 seconds. Right, let's not stay behind this car for too long. We need to get past. Okay, just 2 laps of fuel remaining now. P9, you're running P9, keep going. Alonso ahead. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 0.3 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Gasly's behind you, and the gap behind us is 1.6 seconds. They're on old medium. Our gap to first place is 37.3 seconds. The pit window is open, pit window currently open. 2 laps laps left. Next time by will be your final lap. Okay, you're in ninth position. Alonso's ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 0.9 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Gasly behind. We're leading the car behind by 1.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. Okay, gap to leader, 38.9 seconds. Okay, this is your final lap of the race. Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners. So let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Well, that lead at the top has somewhat shrunk today. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the boring choice at this point, but you can't argue that he's a driver deserving of his reputation.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. No change in the top spot then, but with today's points, their hold on that lead is getting weaker. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action, and I can't wait to see what's next.